Hey, what's happening, everybody? Just wanted to drop a new video today about consuming so much sports information. So my thoughts today are about consuming a lot of information about sports, and this could be relative to different industries that a lot of people pay attention to that really consume a lot of our time and effort throughout our days. The reason that this is relative to me is because I've spent a considerable amount of time podcasting about sports. I had a sports podcast some years back, and I am passionate about my Detroit sports, my Pistons, Tigers, Lions, and Red Wings, and even the Michigan Wolverines. So, ideally, I pay attention and I watch the sports. It was a time where I didn't miss a whole lot of games. I spent quite a bit of time consuming meaningless information. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with being sports analysis, podcasting, blogging, and things like that. But if it's not really your occupation, which I wind up not being mine, it can just consume a whole lot of time and pump a whole lot of negative information into you. The reason that I really got out of it myself was because I didn't like the gossip. I didn't like the politics about sports. I didn't like how it degraded women as far as things like cheerleaders and exploitation of women. These had to do with, some things that had to do with my faith, of course. But at the same time, we would talk about things that had to do with players and their families, things that were going on and off the field, on and off the court. I just didn't like the meaningless gossip and information that they would put out about sports and athletes that really had nothing to do with the game itself, and it had more to do with just generating attention. That's really what I really want to focus on, because what happens is we get really consumed in certain things like draft picks and tend to judge a lot of people, and then we wind up talking to each other as fans, going back and forth about things that really have no significance. And it's just like, what difference does it really make? Of course, I want my team to win and I want my team to do better. But, talking about the owner, talking about the general manager, talking about coaches, what players are this, what players are that, how good they are, it winds up being null and void. For the 3 hours that we spend watching the game, all of the things that we talked about leading up to that point were really just irrelevant. We get really consumed and wrapped up in the information that comes after the game. In football, they only play once a week. So playing general manager, thinking of what the team should do, or playing the coach, what play the team should call. Mainly I'm thinking about football, but at the same time, basketball is the same way. We spend a whole lot of time judging how good such and such a player is, what era they played in, how good they would be, or who's a Hall of Famer, who's not. Sometimes these conversations can get really deep and we can get consumed in them. And this goes to the barbershop, the water cooler. And don't get me wrong. Again, I'm not saying that these things are bad. It's just that sometimes we just get over-consumed by it, and it really doesn't serve us a whole lot of purpose. This information can be relative to music industry. It can be relevant to the fashion industry. I think that we should get in and get out of some of these things and not be so consumed with irrelevant topics that really bog us down, drain our energy, put us in a position where we're just uncomfortable. Sometimes we look up on Twitter and we'll get in the top and wind up spending an hour or two just going back and forth about just something random. I really got passionate about things that had to do with real life, family, my children, my church. And so, I had to suppress these things. I had to get away from consuming a whole lot of information that really wasn't relevant. It really wasn't valuable. And, sometimes I just have to step away. I still get wrapped up in some of the conversations as well. And we keep having the same conversation about Jordan versus LeBron as an example. And it's like, we can beat this topic until the end of time. Let's just be honest. I mean, we can talk about these things over and over again. They just become who we are and what we represent. And again, there's nothing wrong with being a sports analyst, podcasting, YouTube videos, and all of these things. They're all entertainment, and that's really what it should be. But when you become overwhelmed with this information, you wind up putting all of these subjects into your mind, and you can't fit valuable information in it. So, like I said, I encourage everybody, hey, sometimes you got to dumb it down, just keep it simple, say what you got to say, and get in and out of the topic, because we wind up being consumed with this information about sports and other topics that really do us no value. So, again, it's your boy Jason. Take care, and God bless.